Welcome to TrackEd. This video is designed to give you a very brief overview of what TrackEd can do for your primary school. So first of all, we're just going to have a quick look at the import page. This is where you bring information into TrackEd, and this is broken up into different module areas. So I'll click on the 3 to 6 module here, and you can see the list of imports that we have available that you can bring your information in from, mostly from one school, but also from other data sources like spreadsheets. So with each of these, you click on the import that you're wanting to do. We have a step-by-step import guide. You can drop your file in here, label it, and press the import button. To just show you what an import guide looks like, these are the step-by-step guides that we have. This example here is for the student summary. It tells you where to go in one school to get the report and what to do in TrackEd to bring that in. Typically this takes about an hour and a half to get the first set of imports in for your entire school, and maybe about half an hour a term to keep that updated in TrackEd. So once you have your information in TrackEd, we're going to return to the home page now. It's very easy to then generate the outputs that you need in really engaging ways. So we're going to demonstrate a little bit of that now. This is the home page where you choose the cohort that you'd like to work with, and that will load the profile page, one of our 5 main pages here. On the profile page, this section on the left-hand side is the printable report, and you're able to configure this report to show whatever information that you want. So for example, I could choose just prep to 3, or I could choose year 3 to 6, all with trend arrows and coloured achievement codes, or I can choose the all-in-one P to 6 view with the effort and behaviour aligned down the bottom. Also aligned with that is tracking information. So here we can choose any of the tracking things that we've imported into TrackEd. So that could be NAPLAN, could be PAT, could be PM readers, probe, any of those sorts of things. And that will align the data underneath the reporting periods here. And also aligned is the NAPLAN information, so year 3 NAPLAN, year 6 NAPLAN, and we're showing the band scale and comparison to the national average. So again, in this section, I can mix and match and change what it is that I'm showing on this page. So that could be charts, or it could be NAPLAN plus attendance view, NAPLAN plus behaviour with traffic light attendance here. A whole bunch of different options that you can choose in this section. I'll put that back to, say, NAPLAN 3. And same down the bottom, I can choose different areas that I want to display on the chart here. So tests 3 to 6 and goals. Tests P to 3 and goals. I could do the attendance in this bottom view, or attendance plus behaviour. I could put in a learning plan notes, so student goals, where do we want to be, how do we want to get there, and all of these headers are actually modifiable as well. So once you've set up the profile the way you'd like that to print or email, you can just choose this PDF option at the top, and we've got a bunch of different preset options here for configuring that output. So you can choose how you'd like that to come together. If you'd like it for the current found set of students, you could save a PDF for all the students, or one file per student with a bunch of different enabling options, and that would output for you. So TrackEd is also a really powerful search tool. So I'm going to go to the find options instead of the display options now. And you can see a whole bunch of preset finds that we've put together in TrackEd to work with a group of students and generate an output for them. So we'll do a really simple example first. We'll do a roll class search. So I'm going to pull up the 6A roll class. We'll find those students. That would then return all of my 6A students in the list view. So let's jump from the profile to the list. And I could return back to the profile view here. And I'm still looking at those same 16 students that I found. I can click through those 16 students and see their profiles. And I could choose the PDF button, and that would save a PDF for just that role class with whatever tab options that I've set up here and configured for the output. Okay, we'll do another find example here. There are a lot of finds that you can use. This ID search, for instance, you can paste in a list of IDs from any Excel document, and that will return those students in TrackEd ready for you to work with. Some other examples here, we have, say, the NAPLAN trend, where you could pick a strand area and a test year, and I could choose whether they're gaining or falling. We could do that compared to the national average, So I could show the ones who are gaining more than the national average, gaining less than the national average. A bunch of preset options that are really quite powerful. We have a subject trend search. So show me people who are falling in 2 or more subjects in a reporting period for their achievement. There's a bunch of different options that are available. We'll do another one here, a subject achievement search. So in this one, we're going to look for failing in 1 or more subjects in their achievement. And I could pick a particular subject area if I want to. I could search within their effort or behaviour if I want to, but we'll just do this search now. So find those students. So these are all the students who are failing in 1 or more subjects. That's returned in my list view here. I've found 27, and I can scroll across. I can see all of the different information that's available for these students, their literacy and numeracy outcomes, A to E scores, their actual grades in all of those different subjects. Again, these are colour-coded, and we have other indicators here, their absences, percentage present, behaviour scores. So we've actually averaged their behaviour and effort scores in their reporting and given you a grade for that. All of these headings you can actually sort by. So we've sorted here by a GPA, which is just a metric that you can use to identify and work with certain groups of students. So this is in the list view here, but we've actually got 12 different list views. This is list view 1. If I jump to list view 8 here for an example, that's going to show a different set of columns. So here the English, Math, Science for the last 3 semesters. You have selectable subject headers here that you can change which subjects that you're wanting to show. We've got a couple of tracking template things here, so you can put in Pat M and Pat R and show those results. We have NAPLAN. This is the last NAPLAN test that they sat, and the second last, so NAPLAN 3, NAPLAN 5. And we also have over here their extension and support on this particular view, which is list view 8. We'll choose a different list view now. Let's go to their engagement list view. And this one here is showing the behaviour, the absence data for any selectable period of weeks. And that's also aligned with their academic data. You're able to set excellent standards, minimum standards for those, and change the highlighting that's on the page here. And all of these 43 headings are actually searchable as well. So things like year-to-date percentage, you can pull up a list of students that are at 100% as an example. Okay, another list view option here is the attendance list view. This one's dedicated for attendance, and it's showing you the last 10 weeks of attendance, the term-by-term percentage averages for each student, and the year-to-date totals for those as well. And you have a little selectable period here that you can drill down into any time period that you want to as well. Right, so we're working with our students who are failing in 1 or more subjects. We might actually just decide that we're going to tag those into a group. So tagging students into a group means that you can retrieve that tag at any time. So I'm going to just put an AR tag in here for at risk, and I'm going to add this tag to my found students. So now I can return this list at any time in the future. I can monitor this group over time using that tag. And if I go back to the profile, you can actually view the tags that have been assigned to any student. You can click on a tag and say, find this tag within the cohort or across cohorts, or I can remove the tag. And you can assign as many tags as you want to different groups of students. So at risk is one example, maybe students who are in certain support programs, or maybe even your high flyers, you might tag those into a group as well. Okay, so we've worked with the profile and the list view. On the list view, I didn't mention, you can actually save PDFs of those list views as well. They can be in an A3 or an A4 list view and save that out for the group. There's another option here called the grid view. And when we choose the grid, this is a grid data wall. And we've got 15 students to a page here in an A4. And we've actually, again, we've got 11 different options for the grid data wall with different displayed information for those students. So for example, we've got a reading dedicated data wall here. Same with a numeracy version of that. We have a NAPLAN version showing you all of the NAPLAN relevant information for any found group of students that you have pulled up in TrackEd. We also have a photos only version of this. So if you're putting up a data wall in a high thoroughfare area, You can pull up any group of students, save that as a photo data wall. You and your staff know what that group of students is about, but people walking past won't know what that's about. There's also a few other options here, for example, the 25 per page photo wall with just their name and their photo. So again, you might do those for class groupings, be able to send those out really quickly and easily. So just to summarise, we've been working with doing some finds inside TrackEd and pulling up any list or any group of students, being able to output that as a profile, as a list, or again as a grid view. And this is what we call the core functionality of TrackEd, what we want schools to get across early and first before we start extending the other things that you can do with TrackEd as well. So let's jump into a few of those other things. Again, this is a very brief overview. I'll head back to the profile page. So far we've worked with the display options and the find options. We're now going to click into this third one called the report options. In here there's a few things I won't go into today, like the create certificates option here. So you could pull up those with 100% attendance. You could create a certificate for them and it would actually save that certificate inside TrackEd and generate that with a mail merge. So you can just print those out straight out of TrackEd. But we'll have a look at another couple of examples here. So the student NAPLAN reports, we'll pull that one up. So the year 5, and we'll pull up a detailed view for that. Now this is actually a 3-page analysis for a NAPLAN test for each student. And we've actually ranked here their weakest substrand areas through to their strongest and their weakest questions through to their strongest with their particular answer. And the ability to click on this analysis button to load an external website which explains that question and why they might have answered the way they have. Okay, so that's the 3-page version. You can click the numeracy only or the literacy only, and these will actually show you a single page for those different areas. So here we have the reading, spelling and grammar with their weakest to their strongest answers for each of those. And you can click through individual students with that analysis. Okay, we'll choose close there, and we're going to go now to the NAPLAN question summary. So the detailed report we just looked at is a single page per student. The question summary is actually designed to be for any found group. So we could do that for our whole cohort. We could drill down to a roll class and have a look at just those. I'm going to choose the maths option here. So I picked a NAPLAN test, the year 5 test. And for this group of students, it's actually ranking their weakest response to their strongest response. And that's actually sorted them into their role classes because I chose that maths option here. So for the 6As, their weakest question was NC 22. And again, you can click that analysis button and it will pull up some information about that question. Okay, for my next few examples, I'm just going to pull up a couple of examples in our slides. This is a series comparison. So this, you can use the advanced find panel in TrackEd. You can pull up any group of students using the TrackEd finds, and then you can compare those two groups. Here we're just comparing males versus females. We have their A to E grades, reading, writing, spelling, grammar and numeracy charts over time. If I go to the second page, this is a detailed breakdown of NAPLAN bands over the years and over the strands, and these pink areas here are below national minimum standards. The next report we're going to have a look at is the A to E comparison report. So for here, I've actually looked at the results from the end of year 4 and the change in those results to the start of year 6. And we've grouped those by their year 5 class groupings. So you can see here in year 6, their A to E percentages, but you can actually see their change since the end of year 4. So really we're looking at the relative gain in year 5, but without actually referencing any year 5 results. So that's a couple of examples out of our slides. We'll jump back to TrackEd now, into the report options, and we're going to have a look at a couple of these TT reports. So these are benchmarked reports. We're just going to pick a couple of these. So let's look first at the benchmark improvement. And for the improvement, we're going to look at NAPLAN scaled for year 3 through to year 5. And in this case, we'll have a look at reading. So let's create that chart. And we've got an option here. We can do a photo chart or a compact chart. I'm just going to pull up the compact chart here. So this is for my current group of students, and it's looking at the amount of change. So the length of that green line is the amount of change. So it's a small amount of change. And if you see a red line, that means that the change has actually gone backwards. I'm just actually going to pull up my whole cohort again because I'm still working with a found set. So that's all 102. And we'll run that same report again. So benchmark improvement. NAPLAN scaled from year 3 through to year 5. And we're going to use their reading scaled, and we'll create the chart and we'll do compact again. Okay, that's going to give us a little bit more information. So the most amount of change through to the least amount of change here, and we've actually got some red results down the bottom here that you can see. And so we can actually sort that by their second result. So I'm going to sort that by the year 5 result. So the highest achievement is over on the right-hand edge and the lowest achievement is on the left-hand edge. And we can actually see then the amount of change for each of our groups of students. So as we scroll here through, we might decide that we've done a little bit better job of improving the top 2/3 of my cohort, and maybe the bottom third of my cohort we haven't improved as much. So that's the sort of thing you can do with that chart. The next one we're going to look at is the benchmark compare any 3. So I'll pull this one up, and this lets you compare 3 different things together. So we're going to compare 3. We're going to start with numeracy, so NAPLAN scaled, and we'll look at year 5 numeracy, and we'll pull up the latest reporting period, and we might look at their maths points, and we might compare that with the PAT M, and we'll have a look at the scale score on that one. So let's create that chart with 3 different things on a 3-dimensional chart. So with the 3-dimensional chart, you can actually rotate this around on any axis. You can see our A's, B's, C's and D's in this case. And you can mouse over to look at individual students and where they sit, what their actual scores were. If you've got more students on one data point, they all get listed. And you can have a look for maybe overperforming, underperforming students, those who might be doing well in some diagnostics, but maybe not performing in the A to E. Have a look at the reasons why. So that's one example there of the compare any 3. Our next report we're going to have a look at is the benchmark Sankey. So I'll pull this one up. So a Sankey chart looks at trends over time or allows you to correlate information. It can be used in a bunch of different ways. We'll do 2 quick examples. So we're actually going to pull up reporting periods. We're going to have a look at the English result over time. So I'll just choose copy there. So the end of 2013, the end of 2014, the end of 2015. And because my data set's not complete, we'll do the end of 2017. Okay, so 4 different reporting periods. We'll create that chart. And we can see here the resulting Sankey chart. And the band 5 here is the A's, B's, C's, D's and E's. This is the first reporting period, second reporting period, third reporting period, and fourth reporting period that I've chosen. The height of each of these nodes is the number of students who are in that node, so not many A's there, more A's in this one, and even more A's in that third reporting period. And each of these connecting lines, that's actually a student, and when you mouse over, you can see that individual. So that's Gregory House, who went from an A to a B. If we have a look at here, we've got Fiona Carter went from a D to a B between those 2 reporting periods. So you can pull up any reporting periods and have a look at that trend information over time, drill down and have a look at some particular outliers within that group. We're going to do another Sankey example here. I'll pull up the Sankey test. And this time we're going to compare dissimilar information. So I'm going to choose the PAT M. PAT M this time. And we'll choose stanines. Stanines work better and bands work better on this particular report. We're going to pull up their last reporting period again, and we're going to have a look at their maths result. And finally, we'll have a look at the NAPLAN bands, and we'll compare that to their latest numeracy result. So let's create that Sankey chart. We've got dissimilar things here. In the middle are our A to E scores. On the left-hand side are our PAT stanines, and on the right-hand side are our NAPLAN bands. So we can actually have a look at how well they correlate. You can see straight away that the NAPLAN bands correlate to our A to E a lot more closely than our PAT. And you can also have a look at individual students. So in this case, We have a Band 8 in NAPLAN who's getting a C. So it's interesting to have a look at what's the story behind Tim Woodman. Why is that happening? Look into that in more detail and maybe make this inform the teaching and learning within the classroom there. Rightio, this is a very brief overview. So we've just picked a few bits out of TrackEd, had a look at the find options, how to export reports and profiles, list views, grid views, and some of the reporting options that are available in TrackEd. There are a whole lot more features within TrackEd. This has been designed for schools to be able to quickly work with data, have all the information at your fingertips, generate really engaging reports to engage with your students, and obviously drive success within your schools. So look, if you're interested in this, if you'd like to find out more, please get in touch. Our contact is enquiries@trackedapp.com.au, and we'd love to hear from you.